Hello again. Today I'm going to talk about the video clip of a song Pienso, mirá, which I think can be translated more or less like I'm thinking about the way you look at me. Well, I suppose you have already seen the video and also probably you know the lyrics, but I'm going to talk just about the video clip. In the very beginning we have what seems to be the cab of a truck with a tiny doll representing a woman which can be more or less halfway between flamenca and a maja. A maja, like those famous two ones painted by Goya. The truck goes on and he doesn't stop at the crossroads and cracks into the wall of a house. Well, I think that represents that when in a relationship a man considers the woman as a simple decoration, that relationship is gonna end badly. Immediately we have the inside of a house in which we have Rosalía and women dressed in black with a lot of jewelry supposed to be gold. After that we have a vampire woman biting Rosalía in the neck, and we see two drops of blood. Well, I think this means a change in the nature of a woman. You know, when a vampire bites you, you are supposed to change your nature, to become somehow different, stronger, and also somehow immortal. And I think that's a metaphor meant in this image. After that, we have a truck driver with blood in the middle of his chest, and immediately we have inside the house, if you pause the image, a painting on a wall, and that painting represents a woman dancing while a man is playing the guitar at the bottom. I think that's a reference to a very famous Spanish dancer which has been mentioned by Rosalía several times. Her name is Lola Flores and her husband is Antonio El Pescadilla. This is a very, very important reference in this case, but you have to pause the image to see it. After that, again, we have a Rosalía with women in black that somehow remind me of the image in the first video with could be now Little Black Riding Hood, or maybe the image of monks. I'm not completely sure, but we have to remember that black is a color supposed to be related with mourning or sorrow. But the strange thing now is that we see all those women jumping and dancing with Rosalía. Well, I think they are actually widows. Later I'll try to explain why I think so. After that we see again a man with which we think it's his son in a truck cab. And then again, Rosalía, but now dressed in white in a big room. She is sitting on a double bed and everything is decorated as if it were an altar with candles, white flowers, and in the center we have an aureole which represents in religion glory. At the bottom, curiously, we can see a bunch of flowers in a vase that I think also appears in the video clip of Malamente. It's minute 1:10 seconds, and besides there is a lamp off. Then we have Rosalía and the women again jumping and dancing near the stairs. After that, she gets up from the bed and goes out through a door that leads to the same room. I think that's a metaphor of the life of women whose husband is a truck driver, and they usually are supposed to be at home, far away from him, and her life is more or less always the same, mainly if they live, let's say, somehow enclosed. But the second time he comes into the room, there are 4 women in black than now, are quiet and seem to be in sorrow or maybe thinking. Then we see again Rosalía in black just for a second, and after that she appears sitting on a chair dressed in a completely different way, with a double-barreled shotgun in her hand, and she seems to be loading it, while there is some maybe wine on the table, and she takes an olive in her mouth. Then again, women in black, and after that we have a lovely picture of a man, well, not picture, images of a man dancing kind of flamenco on live coals, and this man is dressed in with a pants and a jacket that I think we call Scottish pattern. I don't know if this is somehow interesting. In English I think that's called tartan. And I have to explain here that in Spanish, to be on tenterhook is translated as estar en ascuas, which is this the dancer is going on. And also there is another, I think, reference to play with fire. I'm not completely sure. I mean, this is something just to think about. I can't assure anything. After that, then we have a camera in a stairway moving forward almost in darkness and reaching Rosalía's room. And this image, I don't know why, it reminds me of a movie called Sex, Lies and Videotapes. Maybe you have seen it, I'm not sure. And then we notice that the camera is on a bull head. Curiously, we have an image of the room in which now at the bottom the vase with flowers and the lamp have changed position, and the lamp now is on. Well, I think when the bull head approaches Rosalía, that reminds me of a Greek myth that maybe you know, which is the Minotaur, that was half a man with a man with a head of a bull, and was supposed to receive mates and kill them until he was killed by Teseo. Also in this image it's very curious to notice that Rosalía has got some blood on her back, and it reminds me also that image in the Malamente's video in which she was riding on the motorbike and had on the jacket a few drops with 2 banderillas stick, having all the image of a virgin. It's a reference cross between the 2 videos, I think. Then we see on the wall a bull head that also we have seen in the video of Malamente. That's minute 1 second 28, I think. And after that, the bull eyes and olives in Rosalía's mouth. I don't know if there's a a reference between those things. We see again the dancer, we see Rosalía biting the olive, and after that we see Rosalía and the dancers in a car park or a track park outside, and Rosalía is dressed now with the colors of a Spanish flag. And after that we see again Rosalía loading the shotgun and the dancers, and the tracks, and then we see Rosalía in a picture that reminds a virgin but without jewels. And now the dancer's hands represent the aureole around her face. This means the faculties of soul in religious imaginary. And we have another very interesting image, which is a bracelet on Rosalía's with the word Baron Dandy. Well, first to say that what in British culture is engagement ring, in Spain is the cadena de pedida, or cadena de pedida, or something like that. So I think there is a reference with it. But also, Baron Dandy is the name of eau de Cologne, and also it's a reference because Baron, as you know, written with B, it's also a member of the aristocracy. And in the book Flamenca, she gets married with a member of aristocracy too. And dandy, well, you know what dandy means. And of course, if you let me this little joke, nothing to see with crocodile dandy. It's someone elegant. After that we see again Rosalía loading the shotgun with olives. I don't really understand this image. Olives as is valid. Well, maybe just a Spanish reference or maybe something else. Then we see again the Virgin with something like cloak or shawl made with the dancer's hands. And then the aureole disappears, and in my opinion it means the change of state between the virgin and the real woman. This is a reference of the way in which men somehow make ideals of women as virgins, complex, very complex, everything. So again, tracks and dancers, and then Rosalía loads the shotgun and spit the stone or pit of the olive. After that, we see a truck driver with the name Junior, you know what that means, on the glass, and blood in his chest. Well, this is where I think is the clue to the widows, because from now on, in several cases, Rosalía is kinda shooting with her hands, and somehow it's a metaphor of defending women from their husbands, and that's the way that women became widows. It all refers to some companionship between women to defend themselves from violence. Again, we have the male dancer, and then we have, in another very interesting picture, Rosalía crouched and surrounded by many men armed with baseball bats, rifles, knives, pistols, machine guns, even an axe, what I think represent all the kinds of violence that women suffer. Then she gets up and then she appears at home again, surrounded by the black widows, and again she keeps on shooting, metaphorically, and we see a male truck driver blooding in the chest again. And at that moment, the black widows seem to celebrate again what is happening, whilst the roof of the room somehow starts to crack. That's my opinion of it. Then we have another very interesting and precious picture of a still life with fruits, garlic being probably a reference to the vampire woman, anisette, jackpot, an ashtray with some butts, a packet of cigarettes, and eau de cologne again, and a small statue of a woman in porcelain by a very famous mark called Yadro. So, many things to be said here. Probably the garlic refers to the vampire women that we have seen at the beginning. Then the anisette is anís del mono, which is made in Badalona, very close to the place where Rosalía lives. The packet of cigarettes is rex, with its Latin word that means king. And then we have again dust falling from the roof. After that, Rosalía keeps shooting, and we have from upstairs the camera showing the black widows dancing on a carpet besides the sofa. Again, we see Rosalía surrounded by the armed men, and once again outside the dancers and the trucks leave Rosalía alone, and we see she is wearing a small gold pistol hanging in her pendant. It's, again, references of violence and defense. After that, the porcelain statue that represents women and flamenca, of course, is destroyed by a truck driver, and most of the truck drivers appear with tattoos. That must be relevant also, that keeps on hitting everything in the room, helped by someone that seems to be his son. In the first video, Malamente, also we had men represented in several stages of their lives. So here it's also a reference cross to that. But now Rosalía is already safe and sane, and she gets out of what actually is the back part of a truck, and she seems to sing thankful to heaven. And now she is not wearing the pistol, whilst the Yadro statue, which is still there, seems to smile. It's very interesting references of them. And then we see Rosalía and the truck, which is colored black, and I wonder if that could be a hearse. And Rosalía walks away. And finally we got oranges on the road. That may be an accident, that may be an attack, and that reminds me immediately of the time in which Spain, being out of the European Union, French farmers used to overturn and burn Spanish trucks that were taking fruits and vegetables to the northern countries of Europe. We see also Rosalía's name in the truck. The driver goes away running, and finally we see Rosalía on top of the overturned truck, dressed somehow in the middle as flamenca and modern, and she is using his mobile, actually sending WhatsApps. And I think that means that in the message of a song, against all violence, women will prevail, and men shouldn't try to subdue them, and of course shouldn't control their WhatsApps as a modern reference. And immediately after that we see WhatsApp messages telling us all the names of the people that have taken part in this and video clip of Malamente. Brilliant, isn't it? Thanks a lot for watching. I'll put you a few links down below, and if I've forgotten something, I'll explain it in comments. Have a nice day.